we will begin with our discourse or discussion on the Yogasutras. This is our class number 3. Last time in our class on 26th of April, we tried to get an anatomical blueprint of the thing called mind or mind stuff or organ or antakarana in Sanskrit, or as the psychologists would call it, the psychic apparatus. The psychic apparatus. Our discussion in the last class surely to grasp the ideas of today's talk easily, I hope. We are now going to look at the second aphorism of the Yogasutras in the first chapter. 1.2, that is the number of this. It says that yoga means cessation of modifications of the mind. Yoga chitta vritti nirodha. That's what we have seen. We have given a background or blueprint of this mind, and we will have to connect this vritti, chitta vritti, to that. Swami Vivekananda translates it as yoga is restraining the mind stuff or chitta from taking vrittis. Suppose I am here. My mind is here with me. I am sitting at a place looking out through the window. I am thinking of an apple. Next moment, I shift my thinking to a quarrel. Next moment, I think of an. Still next moment, I think about my bygone days, remembering some of my mistakes and lamenting that I should not have done those mistakes. I heave a deep sigh, and so on and so forth. The mind is thinking, but the thoughts are not flowing with one object, one idea, or one event. It is shifting between different thought currents. Each one of my thoughts is different. Like the apple thought, the quarrel thought, an idea thought, my mistake thought, all these. They are different flows of vrittis. Like when I am thinking of, it is a flow of many grains or units of apple vrittis. This is not one vritti, this is similar vrittis. That means many apple form repeating them as a flow. As a flow, as a current. That is what is called thought current. That means it is a flow of changes, flow of similar apple forms. In Sanskrit, this phenomenon is expressed this way: vrittinam anuvritti, or repetition of the vrittis or forms. All apple forms are separate but similar. All apple vrittis are separate but they are similar because they are all apple vrittis. All apple forms in the change or flow are separate, but because they are similar, they appear to be a flow of one apple form. In the Buddhistic philosophy, they use an example like Alata Chakra. It is a circle, which is the whole circle is burning. Suppose you take a burning charcoal, tie it with a string, then hold the string and move the string in a circular manner. Then in darkness, you will see that a circle is created and the whole circle is burning. Circle of fire is created. Now this charcoal, burning charcoal is one. It is repeating its places. So now each apple form is called a vritti, thought. So a vritti means a thought about something. It has a form, that is why we call it apple form or vritti. It has a name, apple, and it is different from the other forms. Like suppose one apple form or apple vritti is similar to but separate from another apple vritti. There are many apple vrittis and they are changing in rapid succession. This is called sajatiya pratyaya or vritti pravaha. Pravaha means flow of similar kind of vrittis, similar kind of thoughts. Now suppose you changed your thought into a quarrel current. The method is the same. Many quarrel vrittis make a flow or current of quarrel. Apple vrittis are not only separate but also different from quarrel vrittis. Similarly, apple vritti flows or apple thought flows or apple thought currents are not only separate but also different from quarrel vritti flows or quarrel thought currents. They are called vijatiya vritti pravaha. Vijatiya means not the same kind. One flow, suppose apple vritti flow, is replaced by another, suppose quarrel vritti flows. That's what happens. When we shift between thoughts mean flow of thoughts. Thus our mind stuff, chitta, too often changes the vrittis and also the flows of vrittis. In essence, our mind stuff changes into different vrittis and different flows. It is the same. Now thinking of an apple That means this mind has taken the name and form of an apple. The same mind goes to change and take the form of a quarrel, and name is this quarrel. Well, to be sure, this second aphorism does not advise us to stop all thoughts or vrittis in the beginning. That is not possible, even for very talented ones. It rather, the Yoga Sutra rather advises us to organize these changes into a flow of vrittis with a proper direction. Actually, initially, we do not need to stop the changes, but we need to give them a right direction. So, Nirodha, Yoga Chitta Vrittihi Nirodha, that is the aphorism. Nirodha means cessation, complete cessation, complete stopping. This word does not mean complete cessation or of changes. It rather means the whole process. Nirodha means a whole process from the beginning to the end. Nirodha means a whole process from 1% in the beginning to 100% in the end. Therefore, yoga means samadhi. Samadhi is achieved when we have stopped all the changes completely. That is the end, not the beginning. So yoga includes even a small effort of ours towards the right direction. That means the vritti to start with should be a proper vritti. The thought to start the process should be a proper thought. That is the idea. So, cessation or nirodha means a whole process from the beginning to the end. This we have to keep in mind. That is why Vyasa, the great commentator of the Yogasutras, affirms that in the second aphorism, yoga means restraining the changes in the mind. That is, there is no absolute expression as all changes. Yes, sarva word means all. All this sarva word has not been used. Sarva chitta vritti nirodha, cessation of all modifications of the mind, it has not been said. It not be mentioned because that is the end or culmination of yoga, not the beginning. End means complete, 100%. Will start with 1%. Why do the vrittis appear and change? That could be our question. Swami Vivekananda says, vrittis are the waves or ripples rising in the mind when external causes impinge on it. These vrittis are our universe. Vrittis or thoughts appear due to mind's reactions to external causes. Vrittis are also reactions. See, when we are feeling some body, that has something to do with some external cause. So that is why the reaction happens. Vrittis are reactions to external causes, but sometimes they are reactions to internal causes too. Internal causes are there, near at hand, and also they are there in the store, called the impressions, stored in the chitta, or the word chitta means memory. These impressions are called samskaras. Samskaras are stored in our memory. It is like your money there in the bank's computer. Computer does your currency. It has the impressions of your wealth or your money. That is in the memory. It is there in the hard disk, stored up. It is exactly like that. These impressions are called samskaras, which are stored up in the mind, which is called memory. These samskaras could be from our past lives, or lives which we carry forward to this and next lives. These samskaras are there. We inherited from our past birth, and we will continue with it even in our next lives. They go together with the mind. Mind does not die with the death of the body. Until and unless the mind has achieved 100% yoga. As I told in the beginning, the mind or mind stuff is called antakarana in Sanskrit. Antakarana. Karana means organ, inside organ. Let us remember the action-reaction graph that was presented last class, maybe in our first class. Swami Vivekananda has very graphically explained this. What we said, there is for any input from outside to go in us, which is called an action. Suppose someone gives me a blow, the skin, the outer sense instrument, registers and then passes it on to the brain center, which is called the indriya or sense organ, and then slowly in the process, like a chain there, the link after link, the information goes to the end, which is called the ego. And then a reaction is triggered. So now see how many links are there in this chain. First, the sense objects or vishayaha are outside and detached from us. We interact with them with the sense instruments. Instruments with the eyes, ears, they are sense instruments. Sense instruments interact with the sense objects. So sense objects is the first. Second is the sense instruments, like the eyes, ears, etc. They too are outside. I have the specs. The specs are called upakarana, subsidiary instrument. Subsidiary to the sense instruments. That is why they are called not karanas. So these instruments, the eyes, they are outside but attached to us. The objects are outside, but these are outside but attached to us. They are called bahikarana, means outside organs. Karana means sense instruments, and in case of mind, karana means sense organ. The sense instruments cannot communicate with one another. The eyes does not know what the ears hear. The ear do not know what the eyes see. Therefore, how to coordinate? They are again controlled from behind. They are controlled by their respective sense organs called indriyas. Indriyas. So number 3 are the sense organs or the brain centers. They too are connected with each other. The external eyes are connected with the sense organ designed for that. The ears, they are connected with the sense organ that is our system, suppose, that are inside the brain. They too are called Vahikarana. They are outside organs, sense organs, but they are inside. These sense organs or indriyas, they cannot communicate with each other. So there we need a coordinator who will connect these. So the fourth step is that there is the mind called manas. Manas means just mind, cogitating mind. It just goes on thinking, thinks. And it collects information from each sense organ and relays them to the intellect or buddhi. Then we go to number 5, which is called buddhi or intellect. This intellect has to decide quality and quantity of the reaction. So the information has come from outside, something happened, we have to do against that. So it will decide the quality and quantity of the reaction. But it has been seen that for the same type of action, there could be different types of reactions. Suppose while you were jogging on the road, someone kicks you. You look back and see that it is a friend, so you stop and shake hands with him. But suppose you saw that it was an unknown person or a rogue whom you turn and then give 2 kicks and blows. So the reaction for the same thing, same kick to you, the reactions became different. Now we go to number 6, the 6th link. Why does it happen this way? The reactions are not similar. Nobody so far, excepting Swami Vivekananda, has given a very clear explanation on this. He says that when decide on the reaction, in course of that decision making, there flashes the idea of ego. So that is the place of the ego. This is the ego which will decide on what type of reaction has to happen, the quantity and quality of reaction. What does the ego do? It scans through our, as it were, and compares the action with already stored up data or information. The hard disk is called chitta or memory. After a comparison and an assessment of the information that is available already and stored up in the hard disk, the ego decides on the. Then the reaction goes out following the reverse order, reverse path, and a handshake or a kick would be the result of this reverse process. Now, you see, even the psychologists also, they say that the ego is there to react. It reacts. Now we have seen this process of action and reaction. Number 1, the external sense objects. Number 2, the external sense instruments. Number 3, the external internal sense organs. These are the indriyas. Number 3, number 3, these sense organs. Number 4 is number 5, the intellect. Number 6, the ego. Number 7 is used. That is not coming in the chain but used. That is called chitta or memory. Now once again we come back to the word antakarana, inner organ or mind stuff or the psychic apparatus. Antakarana means a combination of 4 faculties. Mind or manas, it is the faculty of thinking or cogitating. Number 2, intellect or buddhi, it is the faculty of decision making. Number 3 is the memory or chitta, memory. It is the subconscious mind, subconscious, below the conscious level, where all the stored up memories are there. Is the faculty of retaining the. And number 4, the ego, ahankara, I consciousness. Manas, buddhi, chitta, ahankara. You have heard the word mana, but mind, but manas. In Sanskrit it is manas. Ego or I consciousness is the 4th, ahankara. That is the faculty of comparison and assessment of the information available from outside. These 4 faculties are faculties of the antakarana or psychic apparatus. Apparatus word is very correct because it has many small parts in it. Here just style you can use for if one goes wrong, you can use some spare part. So the psychic apparatus, it has got many parts, 4 parts. So antakarana means a psychic apparatus, denk organ. Remember, our second aphorism is yoga or samadhi means restraining the mind or chitta, memory from changing into vrittis or bits of. This chitta is the memory of the impressions. This chitta has the memory of the impressions also. A samskara created, how does an impression created? We can refer to aphorism number 1.14, 14 in this chapter. It says that this impression becomes firmly grounded by long, constant effort with great love for the end to be attained. Restraint does not come in one day, Swami Vivekananda says, but by long continued practice, but bit by bit. This aphorism number 14, as I referred to, speaks of practice or abhyasa of meditation. Meditation means practice of holding concentration on one object, one holy object for a long time. The concentration may be interrupted occasionally. Don't worry. It may break, but we have to refix it back to the same holy object. That is what is called meditation. Otherwise, if it is uninterrupted, unbroken, then it is called samadhi. Then you have achieved perfection, reached the goal. The same is the case when we create an impression or samskara. The more we repeat a thought or vritti, deeper and stronger becomes the impression. The more we repeat a thought, deeper and stronger becomes the impression. Not only deeper, it becomes stronger, but difficult, more and more difficult to remove or erase. This is the way one creates a habit, bad habit, and die-hard habits. That is what is the meaning of deeper and stronger. Swami Baneshananda uses an example in the Raja Yoga in explanation of the Yogasutras. In the second aphorism, he gives the example of a lake. The water in the lake is naturally transparent. We can see to the bottom. But when there are ripples or waves on the surface of the lake, it is not possible for us to catch a glimpse of the bottom. The bottom of the lake can be compared with our own true self. The lake is the chitta and the waves the vrittis that appears outside. When we sit for meditation, you will see that many thoughts are now appearing in front of the mind. They are crossing your mind. And those thoughts about the works you did not remember during the day, you should have remembered and done it. You remember such things, small, will come in front of your mind. Why does it come like that? Say there is a bowl of water. It is a bit dirty. But initially you see that there is a clean bowl of water. Water is clean. Now you stir the bowl, you will see many settled below. They are coming up and started moving about. Now when you are trying, means trying not to agitate the water, what happens? Slowly the water movements on top, below, everything stops. And slowly what do you see? That some heavy impurities, they slowly settle down on the bottom. And small ones, they don't have that heavy weight. So they start floating on the surface. And these are the things which appear before the mind when you are trying to meditate. Floating impurities. Now if you go on counting these impurities, go after each one of them, then it is a problem. Or when you sit in meditation, that your mind has gone to some place, some work, some thought. Swami Vivekananda says that initially when you sit in meditation, do not try to concentrate. Try to watch the mind. The mind is now running towards a forgotten thing, running towards a mistake, running towards a place. Now you observe it, and as soon as you observe that this mind has gone to that place, it has come back. As soon as you observe that it has gone to supermarket, it has come back. This way, for some time you watch the mind, then the disturbing things that mind is running, that will stop. Now the word vritti. The meaning of the word vritti is a circular motion. Like in a whirlpool. When a bubble, you see in the aquariums we have seen, when a bubble from the bottom comes up to the surface, we see how it appears at the surface. One sees it in a circular form. So these are called vrittis. Vrittis mean round shaped. Thoughts are like that. In my earlier classes, that this circular shape has to be there, otherwise the vrittis will become longer and longer and it will come out of our eyes, nose, throat and run. Linear way is very difficult, and it will show other countries also. So it goes in the motion, circular motion at the same place. You have so much space, so much length you can cover within a very small space of a circle. So the vrittis, they go on moving in a circular motion like that. Now, this much I have talked about the vrittis so that we are able to remember every bit of the process, how it happens, and at what point it impacts us. This we will be able to relate, refer to. And then what will happen, those small bits or grains will be identified. The first thought that occurred about a quarrel, it is very small. It's very small indeed. Very lightweight. Very small dimension. So you identify it there and stop it. You don't need much strength, need much time to stop it. So we have discussed in detail the mind and the vrittis and the chitta and the. So the analytical blueprint is almost clear, over. Now let us look at this whole scheme of this chapter. The Yogasutras follows a pattern, a scheme to teach us this science. Like the book speaks of Chitta Vritti Nirodha, that is the second aphorism, or restricting the taking different forms, that is the proposal. And now it has to be explained and proved. Then it explains the second step, it explains what would be the result if we do it. Yoga stop the modifications of the mind. Then what do we achieve after that? So next, the answer is given. What will happen if you do it? And then what would happen if you don't do it? So there is big warning. Why are we advising you to take this path? And if you don't do that, what would happen? So first is the promise that yoga means stopping the modifications of the mind. Second is, if you do that, what will be if you don't do that, what will be the result? Then it elaborates on these vrittis, different vrittis. Why we get disturbed? We cannot continue thinking of the apple thoughts. Why do we shift from that to a quarrel thought? Then why do we shift from that to my mistakes thought or idea thoughts? This will be elaborated on. So the vrittis will be explained in one way. The form vritti, the name vritti, why are they called like that? Why has it such a form? Why has it such a name? That has to be clarified. That will come. And according to the Yogasutras, we will explain it. And then thereafter, at last, it will tell us how to practice this restraint. That is the scheme of the first chapter. Then the second chapter will start with the procedure and also some working solution. So the first is the promise, what we achieve is samadhi. Second is what we will get if we do it, and what will be the result if we don't practice it. And finally, it tells us how this restraint or nirodha from the beginning till the end as a whole process. From the beginning till the end as a whole process. That is what is called nirodha. What would be the result of the thoughts? Let us See, look at the Yogasutras. That is the third aphorism. It says that tada drashtuhu swarupe avasthanam. Swami Vivekananda translates it as at that time, the time of concentration, the seer or the Purusha or the self, the individual, rests in his or her own unmodified state. Swarupa, real nature. That is the direct translation. Swami Vivekananda explains it in a very nice way. I quote from him that as soon as the waves have stopped and the lake has become quiet, we see its bottom. So with the mind, when it is calm, we see what our own nature is. We do not mix ourselves, but remain our own selves. The agitated mind, this is not a quotation, this will explain that, the agitated mind has more frequency and short wavelengths. When the mind is agitated, then we have more frequency in the mind and less wavelength, the flat portion. One can see this in the ECG, EKG, on a graph paper. When the mind reduces modifications, becomes calm, then the wavelength becomes longer. Think of this ECG graph. There the frequency is going up and down, but below there is some length. How frequently it jumps. The wavelength mind is quieter and the bottom level of the line or wavelength will be longer. The wavelength on the floor. And what is that floor? The bottom of the lake. This is called the present time. As long as the mind remains in the presence of the self, so long does it experience the present time. As long as the mind remains in the presence of the self, so long does it experience the present time. Why do you know? Because the self is beyond time. The self is beyond. And as long as you are in the presence of that self, you are in the present. You are there. You experience yourself to be existing, not changing. Concept of time called present means in the presence of. As long as we are in the presence of our Atman or the self, we live in present time. Otherwise, we live in either in the past or in the future. If I live in the past, then I am dead. If I live in the future, I am not born yet. But I can live in the present without missing the opportunity to enjoy what is at hand. When there will be no more modification of the mind, then the mind will experience the longest wavelength, the presence, uninterruptedly, unbroken presence. In other words, the self will manifest its real nature or Swarupa. Tada drashtuhu swarupe avasthanam. Swarupa. Rupa in Sanskrit means appearance. And Swarupa means real nature. Tada, at that moment, when we have achieved this concentration, where the wavelength becomes longer and longer, then we are experiencing ourselves longer and longer. Swarupi Avasthanam. Where do we stay then? Where are we? Where is our location? We are located on ourselves, in ourselves. Peace is because that is our real nature. But to experience that peace, we have to remove the agitations or distractions or disturbances. So, this is what will happen if we do practice concentration or try to reduce the changes in the mind. Restrain the mind from changing into different thoughts. Otherwise, if we don't do that, the fourth aphorism, vritti sarupyam itaratra. What will happen if you are not in your presence, in the presence of yourself? What will happen? Vritti sarupyam itaratra. This is Vedanta. Swami Vivekananda translates it. At other times, other than that of the concentration, the seer is identified with the modifications or changes. You become change. Where are you? One cannot step into the same river twice because it is a flow changing constantly. Water mass has changed the next moment. Similarly, if you get identified with the changes, what will happen to you? You are simply blown away, swept from below your feet, swept on your feet. You will not have any foundation. You will not have any, you are simply blown away. So at other times, you are taking the form of those things: anger, greed, jealousy. Just for example, someone suppose blames me. This produces a modification in my mind and I identify myself with it, and the result is misery. Suppose you have two dotted lines. One line is red and another line is blue. They are not continuous lines but dotted lines. The dots, when they are close to each other, very close to each other, give an illusion that there are two straight lines. That is how resolution in printing or of photos is calculated. So many dots per inch DPI, or in respect of pictures it is called PPI, pixel per inch. Each dot is like a vritti or one smallest unit called a thought. The length of the line implies the length of time and intensity. Now two lines, one is blue, another is red. Because the apple vritti continues, it gives you more intense and longer thinking of the object called an apple in the mind. Your enjoyment of the apple is more intense and longer in the mind. Suppose the quarrel vritti continues, then similarly it gives you more in longer thinking of the event called a quarrel in your mind. Your enjoyment of or suffering out of the quarrel is more intense. Suppose there is a vritti called suffering vritti. I put many things together, maybe anger, jealousy, hatred, etc. These are all sufferings. Iman argues that if you have hatred in your mind, it is not a good feeling that I am hateful. If you have jealousy in your mind, it is not a good feeling that you are jealous. It is not a good feeling that you are a thief. So suppose this type of suffering vritti is there in your mind and you continue with it. Then it gives intense and longer thinking of the pain called as suffering in the mind. It gives you more intense and longer thinking of the pain of suffering. And alas, our releasing of misery out of this suffering vritti is more intense and longer becomes. So, Swami Vivek has uttered a word of caution in this respect. He has said, I quote, "We are what our thoughts have made us. So take care about what you think, not what others think of you, but take care what you think. Take care of your thoughts." That's what he means. And again he says, words are secondary. Thoughts live. Thoughts live, they travel far. So be aware of your thoughts. That's what he says. Take care that you don't enjoy thinking of suffering, thinking of hatred, thinking of jealousy. Don't live with your anger. These are the ideas which are discussed in the fourth aphorism. If we follow the instruction and practice concentration, then we will be living in the present, not in future or in past. As a dead person in the past or an unborn being in the future. We will be there, we are living, we are there. There means where? The fourth aphorism says, where means otherwise you will be identified with your vrittis. You will be angry. You will not be able to differentiate between your anger and yourself. You will be hateful. You are hate itself, hatred itself. That's what Kant says. It is not a good feeling that you are a thief because it is immoral. So, we will further continue with greater discussion